No one cares that it's your birthday, my sister texted. Freeze the $3,500 every month and watch them beg the landlord. Please help, I'm Zephyr 28 and I've never done anything big. Not make a big deal out of my birthday child at least. Maybe it's because I quickly learned that no one else in my family really cared. They'd forget or just quickly wish them a happy birthday. Sometimes not even that. But this year wasn't because I had any to expect, but because I had finally decided to stop acting like their acts were normal. I had spent the last few years quietly putting it all together, paying bills, fixing repair holes and keep a roof over everyone's heads. I didn't say anything bad, or I did it without expecting anything in return, because they were family and I meant to get that right. My mum had a hard few years after my dad left. I understand that. And my 23-year-old younger sister Celine old and still acts like she owes the everything in the world tends to try stuff out, and then giving up the next month she was still living with her mum, in that I bought a townhouse for mum. Neither of them worked hard. Sometimes worked from home, and Celine took on jobs as a graphic designer. But I pay my bills every month, buy groceries, and even stream company with whom I share an account, which is where I sent the money so they would not need to ask. It was made easier. Things hard for them, for me, but I kept going until last week. It wasn't my birthday until Thursday. I was expecting flowers or something, but it would have been great to get a text, a phone call, or even a silly gift in the I woke up to a family group chat instead. I went through alerts while there was silence, as I sipped my coffee and saw that the group chat was still open, but not for Celine had put up a picture of herself in a downtown cafe with the line, "Self-care day with my fave person me." Some friends responded, but I didn't care. At noon, I checked again, still not a single happy birthday. I tried to escape the fact that I had been called for work all day around 4:00 p.m. Celine said this in the chat, "Don't act like anyone cares if it's your birthday," my mum said. Thumbs up. I looked at it for a long time. Minute thought they were kidding, but there wasn't any setup or inside joke. I wasn't joking, and there was no follow-up. I didn't answer. It was just radio silence. Did not get mad. I did not even feel surprised. Just numb and calm. In some way, the ceramic was just tapped by my fingers. I held my mug and thought of something. They had it way too easy from me. They did not just take me for granted. They really thought they deserved it. What I gave them, and they clearly didn't treat me like a family member, but even as a person, I had been seen as a useful thing. Like an ATM, with there are no views, no limits, and I got up and grabbed my coat because it wasn't my birthday, and went straight to the bank. It was Yara, the office manager, was quiet inside. I knew her because I had helped her son get an internship the year before. She always remembered that I told her about my freeze, the card, and take my name off of it from the shared account and mark all the future deals that need to be approved. I agreed and didn't ask too many questions. Just helped me get through it. One calm, I left the bank an hour early, one step at a time. Later, with a bag full of papers, and as somehow I feel calm in my chest, no, not always comfort, but rather clarity, it felt like I had finally given up trying to win a game I hadn't agreed to. I didn't text them to warn them or hints at anything. I put on my sushi, a movie I had planned to watch, and laid back on my couch and didn't hear anything. At 11:42 p.m., Celine sent another message to Elmo. "What is the card in the group chat?" Mum turned it down and said, "Mine too, is the app down?" Then Celine said, "I just tried at Kroger, and it doesn't work like it still." I didn't say anything. I shut down the app and went to sleep. The morning started out like any other until didn't. My phone had 10 missed calls from 5 voicemails. Were left by my mother Celine. It looked like junk when the texts came in. Mike, what is going on? Did you make any changes? Please call me back. Are we locked out of the account? Why is the owner here? Closed his eyes and slowly scrolled. The landlord, it seems, that showed up at their house that morning to ask about the rent. I also sent a check because the autopay had failed. Told them the same thing about the energy. I didn't tell them about the water and internet bill. They weren't ready yet, but I was in the process of. I didn't change the name on the lease to match my new name. I no longer need them living in my house. Even talked to a lawyer about how to legally kick out a family member if they wouldn't go. It wasn't about getting even. It had to do with setting limits and peace and finally saying enough, but I hadn't replied yet, not that day. I went to work instead and checked my email. Struck up small talks with co-workers, thanked those who remembered my birthday. Souls and calls from Celine and my mother on message by nightfall. They texted things like, "Are you okay? Just let us know what's going on." I wasn't in a hurry to explain, though. They were the ones who stayed for a while. In the dark, for once they were scrambling. That weekend I got a text message from my cousin Sarah, the only family member who was ever to get in touch with me. She said Celine had written something dull, angry on Instagram. It's crazy how people, when you depend on them. And Mum had. Sarah replied with an image of a sad face. Found out if everything was okay. I told her I was okay and that I had finally drew a line. I didn't expect her to cross to say, "Good God, they've been terrible to you for years. You don't deserve that." It might not have been that important after all, but it did. But that wasn't the end of it. Monday morning started with a knock on my door. It wasn't the delivery was expected. It came from Celine. Hood up, eyes swollen, and arms crossed. "May I talk?" she asked, and I thought about inviting her in for a moment. Then I thought of the text, the thumbs up for the groceries I bought, the bills I paid, and the years of being until they treated me like I wasn't there. I had to do something, so I went outside and I shut the door behind me. "You've frozen everything." It made them feel bad. Yeah, why? He asked. I didn't answer. I looked at her right away, and I looked at her and saw the same thing. Right, and the same haughtiness, but broken around the edges. She huffed. "If this is about that stupid text message, and that is where I cut her off, don't I answer? Be strong and quiet. Don't call it dumb. Don't act like it was a joke. You meant it." Celine rolled her eyes, but there was a hint of doubt behind them. "Come on, Mike. It was just a thought I had. Things like that all the time because of this." I said, "You say things like that all the time. You act, nothing is important, like no one else if you or your mum feels anything. Made me feel like a ghost in this family, unless you need money, things like food, rent, etc. But the second I want something, even something basic, it's hard for me to be around you." Laughed. "You're not a burden." Asked in a more serious tone, "Then what am I?" "I wasn't a brother, so when you and your mum made fun of me, in the knot when you used the card to buy yourself some time to relax and unwind. Mum put her medication costs on my charges account without even being asked, not when a year ago, you paid off your credit card bills. So you don't lose points." Her turned expression. "I didn't ask you to do that." I laughed very hard. "That's your I didn't ask like quiet as a defense, like not remembering my birthday was it's okay. Since you didn't ask me to care about yours either." It doesn't work like that. That she crossed her arms more tightly and looked down at the ground and thought, "Okay, so what now?" I looked at her and said, You just cut us off. I didn't feel bad about what I did for the first time. I said, I'm giving you, the life you so badly wanted back. You didn't want a without me in it, brother. You asked for a sponsor. Grew, but I didn't stop. I tried for years to be useful, to be helpful, to be wanted, but all I ever got. It came back as sarcasm, quiet, and an endless list of things I need to do but don't want to. I'm sorry, but I don't want a hug. I need room, she asked. So you're kicking us out? You're really just kicking us out. My name was always on the lease. I'm just not renewing it with you as a guest. You have 30 days to pay for the moving truck if you don't get a scene. She blinked in surprise, very serious, very serious. There was after a long pause. She tried from a different position. Mom's not feeling well. That she's upset. She says things. That doesn't mean. I took a sharp breath. You want to talk about stress? Be the guy who has to listen to his own mom call. Not emotionally available to him because I've stopped writing blank checks. Mum, Celine said, no, I agree, you're not. But you're not far away, she winced. I'm sorry I hit her, finally answered, and to her credit, I really think she meant what she said. I didn't believe it was important. It hurt more than anything else that you cared. Else I cared. That's why I turned the knob after being here. For so long, I don't want you to change. Behind me made it clear. I'm not going to stick around. She stopped waiting around for it. Lips slightly open, but not moving, no words. I didn't think she would beg or cry when she got there. She's not built that way. Celine wasn't afraid to brush things off, and as if the world owed her nothing until it did, at which point she freaked out. I went back inside and stopped. By the way, kept going without turning around. I also changed. Your mind about the family phone plan. I then shut down I stood outside the door for an hour. Kitchen with their backs against the counter, and while I was breathing, my hands shook a little. It wasn't fear that made me what I was finally let go of the room's silence now. I felt less empty and more earned. But the damage wasn't over yet. That evening, I got a call from an I let it go to voicemail because I didn't know the number. But I saw the text on my screen. It's my mum, Zephyr. I don't know what's going on. Keep going, but this is mean. I've been there for you. Never do this to your family. Please don't just leave. Please call me so we can talk about this. After a few hours, I called back. Got another message. This one through email. It came from the lawyer for my mum. I didn't open the email right away. I took a look at the subject line. Important action for a land ownership dispute. Asked for it and left it in my email for a few hours. Maybe I was giving myself time to think. Maybe I was expecting to be angry, scared, or sorry. But none of those came. Just a cold, calm resolution that told me I was through taking part in the part they wrote for me. I finally opened the message. What the email was about was official, with legalese that is polite and rarely hid the desperation that was really there. Callum Ver, the lawyer, said that my mother was questioning the truth of changes that had been made to the land title, that she thought the apartment should be seen as a family advantage instead of impersonal property. He asked for a meeting with a friendly answer. I almost laughed, but I didn't answer friendly. Right away instead, I got out the folder that Yara at the bank had helped me arrange, the actual account, statements, land deeds, lease agreements, and the change of ownership to my LLC. All of it was signed and notarized, time-stamped, and I even had a line of emails from when Mum signed the signs, the deal, and agrees to be a tenant. She turned it down at the time. Funny, just some paperwork for you, taxes. I agreed, but I never thought I'd have to need to use it. Now, I'm glad I did. I still Didn't want this to get, even though everything was bad. A quiet, don't burn it down, just walk, said a voice. But I was starting to see that leaving seemed to them like they thought love only mattered if it cost me something. After 2 days I sent it, writing a short email to the lawyer, Mr. Reeves. Thanks for getting in touch. The property in question is legally held by an LLC name and all paperwork can be requested. Please keep this in mind that the lease deal was signed on is still valid. Clause 9A says that the owner of the building holds the choice not to renew the lease when it ends. There's been no breach of deal. I kindly decline the thank you for meeting at this time, Carter. I got a message within 20 minutes. Answer saying that they would look it over the papers and let the customer know. That's why they didn't expect me to push back later that night. I saw she wrote another post, this time on her Instagram story. It was dark with writing in white. Crazy how family can ice you like a stranger over one comment. There was no way I wouldn't answer. The next morning, my doorbell rang. Saw my through the peephole. Mother, she looked younger and older than I thought, and she was wearing a jacket even though the sky is cloudy clear. When I opened the door, and she didn't say anything but looked at me, and she looked like she was looking for something in my face, maybe something I know, something soft. I raised you better than this, she finally asked. Did you? I asked. She blinked, clearly shocked. That's how I met her. Her tone, it made Zephyr less angry and more hurt. We have a family, we used to have a family. People in a family say things they don't mean. A family may fight, but they don't just split up, arguing over birthday texts. I leaned against the doorframe. This isn't about one text message, Mum. It's about every time I was only good when I could help people. It's about years of acting like I wasn't important unless I paid for. Do you know where I work at all? What should I do? What do I love? About she didn't answer, so I went on. If Celine gets a new phone, I'll pay for it. I'll make an appointment for you to see the doctor. And settle the bill immediately. Fix your car. Did you ever say thank you? Neither of you asked me how I was doing. Clenched teeth. You never asked us for help, Zephyr. You made it look like, what did you think? No, I answered. You made it look easy, so I did. Impossible to ask every time I was, since you made me feel bad. I felt selfish, or like I was trying to start a fight. I haven't said anything in years. It would get better, but it didn't. Changed, and I finally saw that they won't. I knew things were tough, because she turned away. I told Dad that after he left, but doesn't give you permission to turn me into your safety net. You didn't make me into better. You taught me how to be useful. She was quiet for a long time before finally saying, so okay, are you done with us? Now, I stopped for a moment. I told them no, I'm done letting you treat me. I feel like I owe you for being here. You can still be in my life if you respect my rules. If you don't use me anymore, please treat me like a person instead of money. For her to talk, but I stopped her. I spoke up for her. If you want to stay in that townhouse, sign a new lease and pay it rent. No games, no guilt trips. Taking care of things like the rest of us. The look on his face changed from shock to anger, and maybe even shame, but she didn't scream or cry. She just nodded once hard, as if she was swallowing something bad. She turned to take a walk down the hall. I didn't call that night. Celine texted her after she me. So what do you want us to do now? Act like nothing is wrong and pay like I quickly read the message to strangers. Thought about how to answer, but before I could type anything, and my phone went off. Another message. This one wasn't written by Celine or Mum. The townhouses, the property manager sent out an official notice. that the temperature had been set to 92 degrees. Another word came through the kitchen faucet was still open. Then there was a third. Someone had turned it off. The camera on the back door for safety woke up with a racing heart and a tight jaw. They were not going to leave without a fight, and I had no idea how ready they were. To go, I didn't get any sleep. That night message from the property manager app kept coming on and lights were flashing. And off at odd times, someone setting off the smoke alarm by accident, and the garage door was open for hours. Their goal was to scare me, or maybe just send a message. It was small. It was passive-aggressive mischief. But I had Celine and my mother were ready for this. Really didn't like being told no. Especially by me, even less so when it meant facing fines at 2:14 a.m. The security of business called me one of the water. There were monitors in the basement that turned on. I asked them to turn off the water pipe from far away and sent someone to look into it. The helper showed up and after an hour and confirmed it. The sink was left running and plugged, causing it to overflow on purpose. I stood there and looked up at the ceiling of my flat as I watched the fans slowly turn on circles with no point. This wasn't just getting back at them, it was a temper tantrum. I desperately tried to push my hand. Make me feel bad and bring me back into because they couldn't, if they didn't keep me in line by making me do things. They were going to try chaos by morning. I drove up to the home with a plan. I parked 2 blocks away without being asked and traveled the rest of the trip on foot. The neighborhood was quiet outside. They looked the same, except for a stack of trash bags put there by the car door, like they were going out of their way to putting everything outside instead of taking advantage of the bins. I went inside. After I used my copy to open the front door, the heat hit me quickly. The temperature was left at 92, as shown by the letter. The air felt I went through the house like soup. In silence, the fridge was open, and it looked like the shelves were empty. Something sticky, one empty bottle of old. There was milk on the top rack, which was dangerous. The living room TV was set to full power and showed a static signal screen. No one's home. So I went upstairs. Celine's room was mostly empty. Stuff about yourself, except for a few worn-out clothes lying around on the floor. Mom's room didn't change much from the closet, is only half full. Drawers are pushed out, and someone had knocked over a bedroom lamp, wrote on the in red lipstick. I hope it was worth it. Bathroom mirror stood there and looked at the word. There is no anger or sadness to be felt. No regrets, just a strange sense of calm separation, as if I were reading a handwritten note by a stranger in a story. I wasn't a part of me. Spent the next hour taking notes on everything I photographed. The basement has water damage, the trash, the fridge, the glass, the heater settings, and the turned off. I made a list of security camera mounts. I gave my lawyer everything I had, with a short message: that's damage, to be careful, move on with the legal claim for eviction and return by noon. They had been publicly served. The paperwork was sent to Mom's house, short-term address that I had gotten from a health problem she had before asked me to help them with, as well as her P-box, which she used for doing private work. The papers that they had 7 days to answer. If they didn't, if the case would go straight to court. If they did, they'd have a very hard time. Taking the time to go over all of the documents and messed with the judge that night, I got a text message from Celine. Wow, really want to make us look bad in court. I didn't answer because this is so small. After a few hours, Mum sent you another one. Have to go this far. You wanted this, meant to hurt us. I hope your eye was happy and you know what I was, but not for the reasons they thought I wouldn't be. I was thrilled that they were having a hard time. Not talk about the damage. I didn't sense of victory. I felt free. The week went by quickly. I gave the trouble to my lawyer and stayed out of it every few days. He kept me up to date, Celine. They tried to file a countersuit, but it was thrown out. Because Mum tried to claim mental pain. But the judge asked for proof, which she didn't have. The problem was most likely solved quickly and quietly. Since they knew I wasn't faked it, and didn't want me to drag every picture of voicemail and money record to the court by that it had been a month since they had been there. Now that my name is back on it, I hired someone changed the locks and had the space was fixed by professionals. The water, the damage, wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but it still cost a lot to clean up. About $5,000, but I still saw it as a give-in on peace, but I never heard from neither of them, said sorry, or sent a message. There were no half-hearted attempts to just be quiet, and I was fine. For 6 months now, a young couple rents the house and sincerely thank me when I fix something. They painted the house, they put plants on the balcony themselves, and paid their rent on time. I check in every time I see them every few weeks. As I walk through the front door, it looks like a ghost has been seen. Someone told me that Celine had moved in with some friends of Mum, stays with a distant cousin in another say. It looks like they're both telling other people that I lost it and kicked out because of a mistake, that I was almost never very stable. Fine, I don't want them to say what they want to say. Being tried to change what the story means to me. I moved out of it last month. Spent my birthday in a quiet way and without any trouble. I took the day off from a nice meal was paid for by my job. I went along the lake and turned off my phone. There are no demands and no guilt. Room, and I felt like I did for the first time. In years wasn't waiting for someone to see them me. I thought to myself, that was more than enough.